Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish. They're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many independent comic book makers. Head on over to Kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Gelber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday night as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday. This Sunday, July the 21st. I am your host, I am Roland Mann, and I am excited to be here with my longtime pal and voice that you guys should know, Mr. Mike W. Belcher, that man in the mask guy.
Howdy, guys.
What's going on, Mike?
Oh, not much. Just hanging out on Sunday with you.
How does it feel like to be one of the true and faithful?
There you go. Just the two of us.
That's right. So we learned today that Tommy is traveling, Roberta's got a family thing, and Tom Mason is packing for San Diego Comic-Con.
The big show.
So you guys headed to San Diego, be sure to look up Tom and get a signature from him on something. I don't know, but tell him how much you enjoy the show. We expect that Tom will be here maybe not next week, but the week after. We expect a San Diego Con report from Tom. So, so that will be fun. So introductions are really quick when there's just two of us. We will have a guest here in a few minutes. We'll be joined by our guest, Charlie. But for now, we want to take care of some of the stuff here. You guys know that we have a campaign going on. We've got the campaign for Divinity 4, and I'll leave this up there to start there with because this is how easy it is to find. All you got to do is go to fundmycomic.com and then scroll and look at that. It is one of the featured picks on Fund My Comic. I will say this: we never got a featured pick on that other platform. But we are a featured pick here. And all you got to do then is click right there on the image, and it's going to take you right to the campaign. And you can see this is our current status. We are at 20 backers. We've got $959, 64%. We have 17 days to go, so we've got a little bit over 2 weeks to go. So those of you who are waiting to get paid, waiting for that paycheck, don't wait too long because you don't want to miss out on this, because this campaign is the only place you can get these gorgeous foil covers. And I've got a sample of one right here. You can see even that video, looking at the video and looking at my video, there's just a world of difference, isn't there? Let me see if I can stop this for just a second.
Yeah, once you get them in your hand, they're beautiful.
Man.
They're just beautiful to look at.
I'm telling you, this right here, I can't find my button here. Look how gorgeous this thing is.
Yeah.
This is just beautiful. And of course, this is by our friends at Kablam. But this is an awesome cover. And as a reminder, the only way you can get this is to back the campaign. So you guys get over there and back the campaign. Want to add too that there's still, for you original art fans, you can get digital. Obviously, the foil cover is what we're pushing there. It's the top one. But you see, let me go down here to the digital stuff so you guys can see. Look at that. You can get digital if you need digital. If you missed the first 3, you can still get all 4 of them. And this is a sweet deal for all 4 digital books. So jump on over there. You can see Kevin's beautiful cover has gone, but there's still, this is a Rick Hoberg piece. And then there's the Zachary Flormani cover. From number 3. Jose Fuentes did the cover for issue 4, so you can get his pencils here, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. There's pencils from issues 1 and 2, and some of Barb's ink. There's a lot of original art, and you'll know if it's gone. If it's not there, look, it says sorry, we're sold out. But there's still a lot of original art, and this art is at killer prices, y'all. For those of you who like original comic art, jump over there. And I want to add something for you inking fans. Barb is, so if you want to grab the poster, you can grab the poster. We'll fold that thing flat, send it to you in the books. And here's a list of the back issues that are available. For if you've missed any of these, all you got to do is say, hey, I missed Kayla's Achilles Has Landed number 2, and you just say you want that. Then you got to send me there. Actually, when you pledge, there is a spot for a message. So just in that message, tell me what you pick. Right, that way I'll know what it is you want. Or you can select 5 of them if you're like, hey, I missed 5 of them. You get a little bit of a discount for that. As well as we've got a couple of sets of comics that we're trying to move some of the inventory on so that we can go to our graphic novels compilations. What I wanted to add though about Barb is that Barb is her inked pages are very limited these days. Barb is no longer inking. She's no longer inking on paper. Barb does all of her inks digitally, so the supply is limited. Is what I'm trying to say. So if you want a page of original art from Barb, there's never a better time than now to jump on and get it. So jump over there, back the campaign. For those of you back Silverline Team Up, I don't have a copy of it in my hands. All the boxes are all but a couple of them, and those are the packages that I'm waiting on art, the original art from the artist. Everything else is going out tomorrow, so it's all ready. And it looks like our guest is here. We'll bring him on and introduce him. Folks, I would like you to introduce you to now Mr. Charlie Griffin, who's the founder of Central Florida Composers Forum. How are you, Mr. Griffin?
I'm great. Great to be here. Nice to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get too deep into this, let me tell folks might be wondering, why am I seeing a composer on a comic book stream? I want you guys to talk about comics, right? So let me just bring this image up here. I gotta move my controls over. I can't see. This is this was the handout when you went into the on June 1st. You can see that there's the date there. This was the handout given to attendees for the Orlando Contemporary Chamber Orchestra Heroes and Villains, and you can see all of this is Silverline artwork. Some of those images you should probably there's the cover for Silverline Team Up 2 that just went out. Divinity, right? Cray, Wolf Hunter. You guys should recognize a lot of this stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Charlie, if you will, first tell everybody a little bit about yourself, so that they'll know kind of who this non-comic book guy is.
Right. Okay. So actually, as soon as you said that, I kind of want to. I just want to ask my kids something here for a second. Hey, Marcus, could you go grab that Batman litho off the wall in your room? So I've been a comic book fan ever since I was a kid, and when I was for my 13th birthday, my mother took me to the Penta Hotel for the the New York comic convention.
Okay, cool.
Back in, so that would have been 1980. Or 83.
Was this when it was still called the Big Apple Con?
I think it was even before that. Yeah,
okay.
That's it. Yeah. But I got so when I was 12 or 13, I met check it out.
Nice.
Right?
Wow.
So
that's a treasure.
Bob Kane himself. And so I've been a fan for my whole life, and I raised my kids to appreciate them. And my older son, as you know, Roland, is very much interested in becoming a comic book artist himself, and he's just starting at UCF in studio art, and he's going to study illustration, and he is gung ho to get into the industry as soon as he can. So it's part of my life, part of my family, and I've always loved this. And you and I met because we are both on the faculty at Full Sail.
That's right.
So I'm on the faculty in the music production degree, and I've been there since 2010. So I was at the beginning of I was at the genesis of that degree.
Right.
And then I took advantage of the opportunity many years later. So in 2019, I finished a creative writing degree from Full Sail, which is how I met you.
Right.
In the meantime, so when I first moved to Orlando, and I looked at, because I am a composer, that's been my bread and butter for many years. I kind of took a look at the contemporary music scene here and found there was not much happening. There was not really any opportunities for me,
right,
to get my music heard. And there were other colleagues that were starting at Full Sail together. There was several composers that had come from different parts of the country, and we were all kind of interested in getting performances of our work locally.
Right,
that's one of the things that we do. And so since there was nothing, I started it. Just like, I guess, right? I started the Central Florida Composers Forum in 2011. Nice. And so we've been at it ever since. We have over 30 composers on our roster, and they come from Full Sail, from Valencia, from Rollins and Stetson and
but they're
UCF.
all Central Florida.
Yep, as well as some of them are also kind of graduate students in those degree programs, as well as just kind of professionals that are composers that's not how they make their living, but that's still something that they excel at. And so we have a pretty decent stable of excellent composers. And then so to touch on our collaboration and how this concert came to be in this past June. One of the organizations that I collaborate with regularly is the Orlando Contemporary Chamber Orchestra.
Okay.
And a few years ago, we kind of solidified a relationship between the Central Florida Composers Forum and the Orlando Contemporary Chamber Orchestra, where they have kind of committed to doing local living composers' works. as well as some national and global composers as well.
So if you don't mind, let's hit a brief pause here, and let's talk about some of the maybe some terms to help us because I know not a lot of people attend orchestras and that kind of thing, and I love one of the things that was said during the performance, and I guess that's what you call it, performance, was
Sure,
that these two people groups aren't often viewed as any kind of overlap at all. And so the fact that you wanted people who visit orchestras and people who read comics to have something to bring them together, I thought that was I love that idea, and I can't remember who said it. I apologize for that. But when you're talking about the Orlando Contemporary Chamber Orchestra, that's just and just is not the right word, but that's a group of musicians, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So they are musicians who perform content written by someone else.
Yes.
Okay. So, and the composer is someone who composes the tune,
correct,
but doesn't necessarily perform it.
Right. Some composers are performers, but not all composers are professional performers.
So, and then there's one other, the director.
Yeah,
How
the conductor.
How does the director fit in between the orchestra and the composer and then the director? How does all that work, if you don't mind?
Sure. By director, I think you're referring to what's called the conductor sometimes.
I was. I'm sorry. I'm reading. The conductor, the guy it says the music director here, and
right.
So, the
he,
guy who stands up front and waves the wand.
Yeah. So you think about it. Sometimes those people overlap in their duties. You think about a composer like Leonard Bernstein, for example. So he was a spectacular pianist, and he wrote music. So he wrote He wrote the music for West Side Story, for example, and he wrote other works as well. And he was also just a first-rate conductor. Not everybody does all that in their career.
Yeah.
But so the composer is the person who's going to essentially write the notes.
Okay.
Right. They're going to commit that to paper. They are trained in music composition specifically. That's my training.
Right.
And then you have the paper score. And you can almost think of this like, I'll just by way of analogy, if you think about like a screenwriter. So the screenwriter produces the script, but then they have to hand that over to a team of people that are then going to make that a thing that can be experienced by an audience. Right. So it's the same here. So we have a score that is written on paper that will then have multiple parts that need to go to all the individual musicians. So in the case of the chamber orchestra, there's 5 string players, there's two clarinet players, 2 flute players, there's brass players, there's percussion players, and they all get their individual part to look at and they play from that. The conductor or the music director is the one who gets that paper score, and they see what everybody is supposed to play. Right. And they are essentially they are literally conducting the process, right, and keeping everybody together. And essentially their instrument is the orchestra. Mm-hmm. So they essentially are playing the orchestra. So they're making them speed up, slow down, get louder, get softer.
Is the conductor often the composer, or is that often not the case?
Actually, often it's not the case.
Okay.
Most composers, and I always count myself in this, like I have reluctantly conducted my own works, but I don't actually enjoy it. It's a little, for me personally, it's intimidating, and it's a little bit confusing because the things that a conductor needs to be able to do, like how to run a rehearsal efficiently, how to help if one musician's having a problem, how to identify that problem and best get them better on task. Whereas if I'm sitting there waving my arms and I'm listening for the way I think of it is like I have 2 tapes that are going simultaneously. One is the tape of how I know it's supposed to go. and the other is the tape of what's coming back to me in real time. And I'm so busy kind of comparing the two tapes that I might not be so good at actually conducting properly or like expressing the needs of, you know, what the musicians need to flow properly, if that makes some sense.
It does.
But,
it does.
Yeah. So I can do it, but I don't enjoy the conducting.
Hyper Potato reminds us to like and subscribe, kids. Yes, please do. Thank you, Hyper. I appreciate that. Great
Absolutely.
to see you here as always, Hyper. If you guys have questions for Charlie, please don't hesitate to put them up there.
Biden dropped out.
Yeah. We try to stay away from the let's keep focused on comics and music tonight, right? Yeah.
Right.
So the concept for heroes and villains, that's yours, right?
I can't take credit for the idea itself.
Okay.
That actually came from Will Rogers, who is one of the like basically he's the executive director for the chamber orchestra, so he's kind of like their administrative head, and he had the idea, but then I had you. so it kind of you know, so I'll take credit for like making it succeed,
right.
helping it succeed. Right, we couldn't have done it without you. It would have been so much. It would have been hard to pull off without you. So I'm super grateful.
Wow.
To have had you become involved, and I hope that this is something that we can do again in the future.
I would, you know, when you first asked me, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yes, that was pretty much my answer. It's like, yeah, of course, we'd love. It's local. It's easy for us to do. Yeah, of course, we'd love to do something like that. I don't know what you're talking about, but yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the spirit, though, right? I mean, it is. It makes it
I think it should be the spirit of right, Mike, of independent guys.
Absolutely, we got to stick together, and we got to supplement each other as best we can.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when he had the idea, right? I mean, one of the questions I had was, okay, if we, how many of my composers already have something on that theme?
Yeah.
And the answer was not so many. Right. But if we did a national call, and that's what we actually got over 200 submissions.
Wow.
And so we kind of
that's crazy.
Cherry picked from those.
Yeah. And did you have like a staff? I guess. How did you go through? What was the selection process for that?
Yeah.
Hyper says that sounds like my marriage. I don't know what you're talking about, but yes.
Yes. You say yes.
It's the first rule of improv, right? It's just yes and, right?
Yeah.
So the way we've done it in the past is basically all the people who are going to volunteer to do it take about 50 submissions and go through those.
Oh,
and
okay.
It takes a little bit of time, but then you know, those you pick, okay, what are your top 5, and then you share those with the group and kind of winnow it down.
Because it's not something you can just kind of glance at, well, like art, right?
No,
talk about
you have to
art,
give it a listen.
Just look at it and say, oh, I like it or I don't like it. You have to listen to it.
Correct. But, you know, I mean, the truth is with most things like this, if you 2 minutes is all you really need to know to know if you're going to want to keep listening. It's like reading the first however many pages of a comic book script you have to read, Roland, to know whether you're going to finish it or not.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So
And I think some of the other qualifications would be like, did they actually adhere to the instrumentation that was asked for example, you know, if they, you know, there's only for the chamber orchestra, there's only 5 string players, but if they assume that there's going to be 40 string players, because that's what's in in a large orchestra, like the OPO would have probably has at least probably about that number. It was around about 40 string players. So there's a difference between writing for a chamber orchestra versus a standard orchestra. And so if their instrumentation didn't match, then you could disqualify them without listening because it's just they didn't pay attention.
Yeah, they don't. Hey, listen, we and I'm sure you talk about this as well. One of the things I talk about in my class is like, listen, submission guidelines are there for a reason.
100%.
Because here are the guidelines. If you don't follow them, I'm not even going to look at your stuff.
That's right. And checking your submission against, is it what you think? What you're submitting? What you think you're submitting?
Right.
Right. I just literally in my class, I had a student submit something where the MP3 didn't so the audio that they submitted didn't match the session, and they never listened to the audio they submitted.
Oh, okay.
They just assumed that they matched.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And so that's. Yeah.
Were there very many that didn't make it? Were there very many that you're like, oh man, if we just had 5 more, 10 more slots, these other tunes could be included?
Yeah. Great question. So there are for this concert that just happened, there was one conductor.
Okay.
Right. That's Todd, who you also worked with directly.
Right.
Todd Craven. For this, we have a concert actually coming up this coming Saturday, I think. Yeah, the 27th. And that one has 2 conductors on it. That's because the concert we have coming up has a choir and the chamber orchestra.
Oh, wow.
And so some works are for just choir, some works are for just orchestra, and then some works are for the 2 of them combined.
Yeah.
I just mentioned that because both Todd Craven and Claire Hodges both kind of regularly kind of flag some pieces, like we didn't have room for this, but we loved it, and they're gonna try to program it in a future season. So that is something they try to take into account. But of course, they can't always. Not everybody gets to go, or just there's not enough space or time or resources.
Yeah.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, though, right? I mean, this is why pretty much anything you do creatively is a competitive field.
Yes. Right. And right. Composers, just like writers, just like illustrators, just like inkers, everybody has got to be on the top of their game and compete with each other, even though we could all be friends, we could all be collegial. Right. But it's still right. It's still a business too.
It is. Yeah, it is. Everyone's making art. But you want people to see it. Man, it's coming straight where, hey, Pops says, hey, yo, what's up, Pops?
Hey.
Yeah, because you want, you're making, you would like to say, oh, I'm just, making it because I'm going to make it anyway. But you want people to look at it. You want people to listen to it. You want people to see and hear your art.
Right. I mean, there's composers have a joke. It's like the road to hell is paved with unperformed string quartets.
So I would imagine, and this is just me, please correct me if I'm wrong. I would imagine that being a composer, it's got to be pretty tough, because you can compose your tunes, but how do you get somebody to listen? How do you get somebody to perform them? How do you get someone to? Because I'm guessing that those avenues are tougher to get maybe than independent comics, are hard to make.
Yeah, it's as it is with a lot of kind of indie art creation. It's one of those things where you can't expect the world to come to you. You have to go out there and build your own audience.
Yeah.
And so when you're a composer, kind of your first audience really is performers, and not kind of, you trust that the performers will help build your reputation on your behalf. And part of the goal is to get kind of higher and higher profile performers and higher and higher profile venues to have your work performed in. Right. So when I first got out of grad school and I moved back to New York, which is where I'm from originally, I spent, there's like a transition period where you figure out how to move from being a student to being a professional. Right. And there's a lot of kind of psychology that goes along with just figuring out how to approach strangers about your work, right? Because when you're in school, it's always your friends that you're writing for your friends, and your friends are performing your stuff. And then I made the mistake when I was kind of, fresh out, where I tried to I made the assumption subconsciously that I had to be friends with everybody that was going to, so I was like super, just hi, but it's like, I wasn't fake about it, but it was also sometimes it was like not exactly inappropriate, but not appropriate, you know?
Yeah.
And I had to get to the space where I like just recognize that I have something to offer. And it's almost like it's like almost like a first date.
Yeah.
Here's who I am as a composer. Here's who I think you are as a performer. Maybe our attitudes and what we care about and how we like music to go, maybe they align. And if so, that's great. And I would love, what I have to offer you is original music. What you have to offer me is your performer expertise. Right. And ideally those things come together, and and if not, it's not like you're a bad person or I'm a bad person.
Right.
You just move along and don't get hurt by it.
Right.
But it takes time to kind of make that transition, and it takes energy, right? You can't, you can't just sit and hope that the world's going to come to you. You have to, right? And so back in that time, I spent a lot of time on, just emailing strangers, and hoping to make a connection, but trying to do it in a way that was respectful of what I thought their process might be, and asking questions. Is this okay? Can I submit work to you? Like that kind of thing. And build up, like a team of people who are supportive of your stuff.
Yeah. Well, with over 200 submissions, I'm guessing the idea of the sort of the comic book superhero themed music went over really well.
Yeah. And it's also right. It also speaks a little bit to how hard it is for composers to get work performed.
Yeah. Right.
Especially in the United States. It's a little bit tougher here than it is in European countries. This is just to give you a sense of the landscape. We have, so other countries have like kind of national radio stations, national orchestras, and support for the creation of national composers in their home countries. And we don't really have that here. It's all very much kind of driven by market forces, and it's not super valued. And like, for example, I don't know if you guys have followed it, because you were a little less vulnerable to it, I suppose. But, Ron DeSantis just vetoed arts funding for the entire state of Florida. I don't know if you're right. Since you're much more you're running yours like a true business.
Right.
But we're like a 501c3. We're not profit.
Yeah.
And so
most independent comics are not profit either, but that's not it.
Right. But you still have to pay taxes on it.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Right? But so we, like my group is a not-for-profit. The Chamber Orchestra is a not-for-profit. But so, but that's also like the Orlando Philharmonic is a not-for-profit, and the Bach Festival is a not-for-profit. All these local big arts organizations are not-for-profit institutions, and every single one of them in the state of Florida was recently denied. There was $35 or $36 million of arts funding that was pre-approved for the Florida budget, and Ron DeSantis decided to veto all of it for all arts institutions across the state.
Really?
And this is money that people were expecting because it was already budgeted.
Yeah.
And the answer that he gave was because he cited the Fringe Festival, our Fringe Festival in Orlando, as one of the main reasons, because it's like a sexually perversive festival, he called it.
Oh.
And so it was kind of a way to kind of troll, the woke, the woke arts culture in Florida. But of course, whatever your feelings are about the Fringe Festival, it's still, that doesn't represent the entire arts culture.
I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we don't have to go into the Fringe Festival, but it happens here every May.
Okay.
And some of it is subversive, honestly. Like there's a lot of, a lot of it is adult themed and or a kind of gender positive and, like that sort of stuff.
Right.
But, that is just one slice of the arts.
35 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. Yeah. A lot of orchestras. I was not aware of that. No.
Anyway, speaking of, like, when I saw that, the Biden comment came by, it made me think about Ron DeSantis.
Yeah. We occasionally that's from. Oh shoot! What's the? Just so you know, we stream on multiple platforms. We're not on Twitter right now because Elon just changed the rules where you could stream. Previously, you could stream under any account, but now you have to have a premium account. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and get the premium account because we were having a lot of success with Twitter Live. But now, so we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, and we're on what is that one there? That is Twitch. So and we Twitch is where we have to really watch the comments.
So bad time for me to be taking a sip.
Sorry. Yeah. We really have to be on top of the comments when we see Twitch active because you never know what they're gonna say. Okay, thank you. Pop says we can add Critical Blast. RJ over at Critical Blast is a good guy. Thank you, Pops. Twix. So I would, I don't have any video, which of course, for those of you who are listening to the podcast, you're like, video? What video? But I was able to upload a couple of tunes here. And of course, you and I swap messages. My favorite, the file name is just called Haigh.
That's his last name, Robin Haigh.
That's the composer's name?
Correct.
Okay. So then I will say then the one that I liked
was Filth. Yeah.
Called Filth. Is it okay with you if I go ahead and play a little bit now?
Yeah. I got his permission, so it's all good.
Okay. So I've never done just audio before, but I don't think any of us are muted when this plays. But we're gonna play. We'll see kind of how it's going if we play the whole thing because I think I don't have a time in front of me, but I think it's like 6 minutes long, something like that.
That's about right. Yeah, I can mute myself. I think so.
I think so. All right, so here we go. This is called Filth, and the composer is Robin Haigh. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
That was really nice.
Wasn't that cool?
I definitely love that stream, the really the beat.
Yeah.
It seems to me it also has kind of a it has a comic booky kind of
It
right,
does.
vibe to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It felt very, as far as the way it moved, as far as the emotion to it.
Yeah.
It's like, comics tell a story, so did music.
Yes.
You can kind of feel it as it went along.
And let me set the stage for you, though. The cool thing about this was, and I got to be honest with you, there were moments that little bit emotional for me because here I am sitting there out, in the big city of Orlando. Here's an orchestra performing music, and on the big screen behind them are all these images from Silverline comics, and the emotion, the mood, the power that the music evoked to me, combined with those images from the stories that I knew, I'm like, man, this is powerful. And it was
Nice.
It was for me, it was a pretty moving experience. And of course, these are comics that Silverline does, so I don't know that it was the same for everyone, but I would like to think it was, because I think Todd went through the images pretty carefully, choose the ones he thought would work with the music, didn't he?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he had even bigger ambitions than we were able to pull off, in the time frame that we had allotted to make it happen.
Yeah.
But so I do hope that this is something that we can revisit and expand upon in the future. Yeah, maybe we should set the scene for. So this was a concert that happened on June 1st of this year, just a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And so there was, a series of local premieres. So this music had never been heard before in Orlando. Some of the music had been written for this event specifically. And, the whole idea was to bring together, local musicians and composers and a local comic book publisher, in this case, Silverline, to kind of create an event that has never been done. As far as I know, this has not happened before. I mean, there have been concerts where, like an orchestra might play a soundtrack to a film, and there is one piece.
Film. That's not a comic book.
Right. But I'm going to make a pitch for something that you might not know about, but I know, and it has nothing to do with me or us, but it is a great piece for you to know about if you don't.
Okay.
And it's Metropolis Symphony by a composer named Michael Dougherty. He's in Indiana. He teaches at Butler. But basically, when the whole Superman Doomsday thing, when that all happened, he wrote a 5-movement symphony called Metropolis Symphony. It's on Spotify. You can totally find it. Okay. And I would highly recommend, if you listen to anything, you listen to the 5th movement, which is Red Cape Tango, which is about the fight between Doomsday and Superman.
Nice.
It is brilliant. So it takes an ancient Gregorian chant theme from the Gregorian chant, which is the Dies Irae, which in Latin means Day of Wrath. It's a very, 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 very famous chant. So he takes this Gregorian chant and he subjects it to all these kind of tango variations. It's such a great way of representing the kind of the dance of the fight, right? And there is, because they're evenly matched, right? And there's something kind of sacred about it, and intimate about the fight. And so a tango kind of feels right in this twist, in this kind of perverted way, and to take this kind of sacred Gregorian chant melody and put it into this tango context. It is wild. You're gonna love it. So you should give that a listen.
Yeah. I've got it open on our browser here. So
yeah, totally. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. So this was part of the composers group. Like my whole take on all of this is that the local art scene is what makes a place feel like a place you want to live.
Yeah.
Right. And so, Orlando, just like any other small city, has these kind of pockets of grassroots, art making.
Right.
And the more we can kind of gather together and, combine forces, your audience and my audience, it becomes each other's audiences. There's room for everybody at the table.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that's, because if we don't do it, it doesn't get done. That's
right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
That's the thing.
I'll share a fun story that happened while I was there. So I had a young guy, I don't know, maybe 12, 13, 14, probably to the older part of it, come and start talking to me. And then he said, "Are you the guy who does Cat and Mouse?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because I had a new series. And he goes, "Oh, I love that series." I'm like, "First of all, you're not old enough to have read that when it first came out." It's like,
right.
How do you know Cat and Mouse? Well, there's an illegal site online that has it pirated, but
PDFs.
He discovered it through that illegal site, read it, loved it, he said. And so he picked up the newest issues of Cat and Mouse from me. But he was totally shocked. I'm like, I know who you are.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty neat, and it was neat. I think his mom might have been one of the musicians.
I think I know who you're talking about. Actually, so I think his name is Aiden.
Okay.
And his mom is a singer in the choir that will be performing this
Oh,
weekend.
very cool.
Yeah.
He was a super, super nice kid. He was, I was going to actually, the funny thing is we had posters there and I was going to actually offer him a poster, but I guess they had to split real quick because I was looking around for him and then he was gone. But I think I signed something for, because I told him, I said, yeah, if you bring those other books back, but he had them online. So.
Right.
Well, it was fantastic. I know that my wife and I both went, and of course Jose Fuentes was there, one of our artists, and I know that they both, and I'm speaking for them, I realize, but I know that they both were like me. It was just awesome to see, to be able to hear these tunes, and then see these images from the comic books behind them. It was just very, very cool.
Yeah, and it was equally cool for us.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
To have your tables kind of open so people can walk in and see your art. For us, that's also like we don't get to do that either. So from our side, it's like, man, it's so much more colorful and vibrant, and it just felt like just fantastic. And like you had volunteered the creation of that mini poster, with all these samples from Silverline comics for the title. And like that's just, I mean, we absolutely treasure that. We printed on our end, we printed multiple copies just so that we could keep extras.
Nice.
Because we loved it. We absolutely loved it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. It was. I think it looks. Other than the one that you sent me, I didn't have anything to go on, and I thought, I'm like, this is going to be really cool if folks come in and they're going to get this and say, oh, look at what tune's playing now. Well, it's Orion the Hunter by Jason Capehart, right?
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, it was very cool. Well, I mean, bravo to you. Bravo to the Orlando Contemporary Chamber Orchestra for putting this together. Getting this on, I just think it was a super cool experience, and I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, me too. We're gonna have to sit down and kind of hash out the conversation what that's gonna look like. But I'm totally game for it. I'm glad you are too.
Yeah, excellent. And you said now you got one going on this weekend, right?
Yes.
So tell the folks what's going on this weekend.
All right. If I could be so bold as to, I have the ticket link primed to press enter into the chat.
Please send it.
So here it comes. Okay. It says there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
This coming concert this is the combined forces of the 16 voice choir called VOXO. It means Voices of Orlando, and the Orlando Contemporary Chamber Orchestra. This is a similarly curated project. The theme was from the ashes. So all the choral pieces have that some aspect that can tie to that idea of renewal, of rebirth, of resurrection, surviving something difficult, that kind of thing in the texts. And in this case, 3 of the composers on this program are local. There's another or 1 or 2 more Floridians on the program, and the rest of it, like the last one, has been drawn from composers. We have a composer from Poland on the program. We've got composers from the UK and elsewhere in the US. And so it's at the same venue that our concert was at together. So it's at the Harriet Ballet Center on Saturday at 8:00.
Okay, very cool. And this is the link here is where, for those of you who might be listening, eventbrite.com/e/from-the-ashes-tickets-long number coming. 923-809-357-657. So now they can get tickets at the gate though, right? At the door?
Absolutely. They can come at the door. And I'm just checking right now just to make sure. I think it's already primed to go. Nope. So I will update my website as soon as possible. So the tickets are also available there. But you can find that ticket link on Instagram too. If you go to CF Composers on Instagram. Okay. The link in bio there has tickets for not just that, but 2 more concerts that are coming up besides that one.
And how often do you guys? How often do you do events like this?
So with Oko and Voxo, we typically do 3 or 4, and those are in like a summer season. Most of those musicians are, they are on faculty at Stetson and UCF, or they play in, like our principal violinist, for example, plays in the Orlando Phil. So while their season is kind of on the slow side, that's when we do these concerts. That's where CF Squared, my group, does concerts with Oko because it's off season. So usually June, July, and August. And then my group does concerts also throughout the year. We usually do like 5 or 6 concerts per year. So our other 2 that are coming up, if I can log roll for them. On August 17, we have a concert at Timucua, the Timucua Arts Foundation. That is a collaboration with some of the musicians from both of these groups we've been talking about, but also with a Latina-run theater organization called Open Scene, and that is called Songs from the Hispanic Diaspora.
Cool.
So the director of Open Scene curated a bunch of poetry from Spanish language poetry. Some of it's an English translation, but it's mostly going to be sung in Spanish from 5 different countries from the Hispanic diaspora. And then my composers selected poetry from that, and it has set it for brand new songs. And so these are all premieres. And then
nice.
And Tamara Bejarano, she's the executive director of Open Scene. She's also going to give a little bit of a talk before each one. She's going to introduce each piece, kind of talking about the context, why she chose the poem, and like what it means to the culture.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to that one. So that's August 17. And then the next one, we don't have one scheduled yet after this, but it's also August 30th, also at Timucua. And that is a really different program. It's all composer guitarists who live in this area. So it's a variety of styles and pieces. It's Troy Gifford, who is the chair of the music department at Valencia. He's an excellent classically trained guitarist, and he also is fluent in a lot of kind of folk and kind of Latin styles. There's a guy named Nate Chivers, who is just a wizard of extended technique, and he can make the guitar sound like you've never heard it before. He specializes in funky weirdness.
So all those fans of Steve Vai, Eddie Van Halen, Yngwie Malmsteen, this is absolutely the show for them.
Yeah, and actually the third composer, his name is Nick Scout. He is Steve Vai's guitar tech. So you actually just mentioned the yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So those 3 are putting on a show, and they're each performing their own music and a couple of other pieces. One is by Alex Bertzos, who's on the UCF faculty. That's for electric guitar and drum kit. It's called Atoms. It is super hard, but it's also super cool. Basically, the guitar player has to play like a kit, and the kit player has to play like a guitarist, and it's they kind of lock together in these interesting ways. And then there's also going to be a piece by Benoit Glazer, who is he's the artistic director of Timucua, and he used to be the music director for La Nuba when it was running the Cirque du Soleil show.
Okay.
So these are all great musicians. These are going to be great pieces. It's going to be a really strong, interesting concert. And I hope people will make it to it.
Yeah. So all you folks in the Orlando area, be sure to check this out. Go experience something that's not necessarily comic books, and it'd be good for your soul. Like comic books are good for your soul. This music will be good for your soul.
So bring a comic book. If you get bored, you could read your comic book, right? And then
or you can just read it, and that can be the soundtrack.
I was going to say it's the soundtrack of it.
There you go.
Yeah, because you don't have to watch this. Although I will say this, I like
better
to watch.
Me too.
Because you could, the conductors can often be animated. Some of the musicians can be animated. There was a musician at the Heroes and Villains, and I can't remember what he was playing. Set on the right hand side, that was pretty animated in a couple of the tunes, and he was fun to watch. I get it. It's exciting to see, for me as someone watching, it's exciting to see someone getting into the music, when they're playing it, and you can tell that, I'm loving doing this,
Passion.
and the passion. It's exciting to see that, and it's, it's not just up there, I'm playing this tune because that's what the music notes are, you know what I mean?
I 100% know and 100% agree. Yeah. When sometimes, if a musician is, doing the opposite of phoning it in, right? Yes. Then in a way, it gives you a window of understanding. It almost helps you because you can read their face. It helps you see what they see and feel in the music, and helps you feel the same thing, right? Or your equivalent of it.
Yeah, I'm going to say this live. So to put my own self on record here is I have to follow up with you about some music, because I don't know if you caught the beginning. We have music at the beginning, and you'll see here at the very end we've got some music, but this is just free stuff we pulled off of off of the platforms. I think it would be cool if we had something that was something that was uniquely ours that we could play to kind of go along with the way we exit out of here, maybe even the way we come on. I don't know. I don't know what those are called. They're not really a jingle, is it? Is it because jingles have two words, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could think of it as a theme, the Silverline theme.
Yeah.
Your podcast theme.
Yeah.
I think in MPBS we described that as sonic branding.
Sonic branding. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So I already mentioned this to you, and you opened the door to me. You said, yes, send me an email. We'll talk about it. And I haven't done that. So I'm letting everyone know who's listening to this that it's on me to follow up. So
yes,
I want to do that because I got no problem with what we're playing. It's just that it's cookie cutter, and it's there for everyone to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I listen to a lot of podcasts actually, so I know exactly what you mean.
Oh, you reckon? Yeah, you probably. I've heard that to you.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I've kind of controlled this. Do you have any questions?
The biggest thing is, what was the story of Heroes and Villains when you were putting all the arrangements together and all the pieces together? What was the thinking? What was the story?
I think so. A little bit was like, we got to hope this works out, right?
I understand that too.
Yeah, it was. I think we were in our own way. I mean, to be honest, we were doing our own kind of yes and to the idea. Like we're just gonna, we're gonna put it into the universe that this is what we want to make happen, and and you put out the call for scores, and you kind of hope that it's all going to work, and then get the rehearsals together. Like there's a lot of moving parts to it, but it took there was a little bit of time before. I mean, this is no disparagement to Silverline, right? But Will had chased down some people that he thought might work before I stepped in, saying, "Hey, I know somebody, and let me reach out to him," because it kind of wasn't going anywhere. And so like Roland really did save the day for the idea. Like if Roland and I didn't connect, and if he didn't end this, it would have been a really different experience on our side, because it just wasn't gonna, it just wasn't gonna be the size and the scope and the feel that it had. And also just, it felt like supporting, to the extent that we were supporting Silverline,
absolutely,
that felt good for us too, because it feels like you guys are a parallel enterprise on some level, right, to what we're up to. But yeah, so in terms of like, me too. So in terms of the programming, that was mostly, I mean, the final decisions were all made by Todd Craven, who was the conductor or the music director. So the best that we could do was just kind of get all the stuff ready and then let him make his choices. I mean, it may be that in this case, there was we could have picked one piece fewer. Like there was a lot to practice. There's a lot of rehearsal required because these pieces were tough. But this is all, like, our group is still also kind of young. The Orlando Contemporary Chamber Orchestra it's less than a decade. So we're still, and our collaboration is also young, and so we're still kind of, we're all just feeling our way through in the hopes of making something worthwhile, something that sticks, and people want to return, and we want to work together again. To me, actually, that's a total win. That you're happy, we're happy, and we are resolved to make it happen again at some point, whether that's next season or the season after or whatever. Like we're up for it. And we could spread the word better next, in some ways it's like we're also kind of taking stock of like what worked, what didn't work, what can we do better. Each iteration of it, each collaboration is a learning experience, ideally.
Well, and I would think, of course, I don't know what your numbers normally are, but I would think 200 submissions, that had to tell y'all. For me, it sounds like, 200 submissions. That's good. That's a good response.
Yeah, for sure. People like comics.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they like comics. They like comics, like comic movies. So
and let me add one other compliment for you all, which is, I think that for some of the people on the inside of this process, on our end at the beginning, the concern was that there are, of course, some stereotypes about comics, especially the further out you get from comics, the less people know, the more they just go on assumptions and cliches. Right. So the first people that Will had found, I'm not going to name any names, it's not worth it, but the work was, it was, let's say boobs forward. And so the women on our team, and myself too, were like, how are we going to market that? Right. Like, what does that have to do? Like, it seemed like an uphill battle. And it just kind of wasn't passing the sniff test. It just felt like putting classical music together and that just didn't feel like it was the right path. And then so to the extent that like Silverline has this massive catalog and they're about telling stories. And so it was kind of the fit became clear and obvious. And when Roland sent to me a number of copies of things that I could share with my team, everybody breathed a huge sigh of relief. This is going to be great. Became the the kind of feeling behind the scenes.
I am glad to hear that. I'm absolutely glad to hear that. I tell people all the time, listen, as a red-blooded American male, I don't have any problem with boobs.
Sure.
But
if it's the only thing, right.
But we're making comic books, and to me, comics are more than that.
Right.
And they should be. They should be about telling good stories, not about, as you say,
right.
booze forward.
Right.
you know.
Right. We expect a certain athletic look.
Yes, of course. I tell people, listen, we want our men handsome and we want our women beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what we want. But I don't need them right in my face on the cover like that.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, well, I'm so stoked to hear that, and pleased and maybe a little bit proud that was the reaction that you guys got, because I mean that's what I want Silverline to be. I want it to be something that and not every title's for everybody. I get that, I understand that, I know that. But what I want it to be is that, if you find a book that you like, I want you to say, hey, there's also one that my daughter might like, or
exactly.
my wife might like,
Right.
And so that's what we're trying to do.
Right. That it's a range. It's
yes. Yeah.
Right. And that way, that because it's a range, there's multiple points of entry for an audience.
Right.
Right. And there's more ways to fit it to the music as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I went from Twilight Grim, which is a vampire hunter kind of guy, to Tiny, which is a very Disney Disney style artwork, and I love that. I love the fact that there was such variety on able to be brought in the music and in the images.
Yep, on the screen for sure.
Yeah, on screen. Yeah. So, so for all of you who missed it, shame on you. Just make a note of it this time, and when the next one comes around, be sure that you are there to catch this, because I will say this in all of my years. I know I told Charlie this. All of my years of doing this, I've never seen anything like this, and it was a super cool experience to be there and be part of. So, anything else?
Much. Yeah, no, that's it. We're good. Same for me. Thank you so much to you and your entire team. We really appreciated it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Charlie, hang out with us just a few minutes, and we'll run through this, and then we'll run a little thing that closes us off. And if you want to hang out for a few minutes, we'll talk.
All right.
On Tuesday, you guys tune in to that Silverline show on Tuesday. They're going to be combining genres in comics. The team is going to talk to you about how to combine genres to give your comic a unique feel. And then on Wednesday, they're going to have the Battle of the Silverline Heroes. The team discusses which hero they think would be triumphant in a 1-versus-1 battle with a counterpart from the Silver Universe. So it looks like they're going to have Silver Dollar versus Teen Beetle, and Cat versus Switchblade, and things like that. So you guys tune in for that. Next Sunday, I don't have a topic yet, but we'll be here. So make sure you tune in. And Charlie, one of the things we like to say. Let me get my. Where's my mouse? I lost my mouse. Okay. And I got all the sound here. Video. Okay. All right, Mike, anything?
I think we're good.
All right, Charlie, what we like to do is say, make mine Silverline. Good night, everyone.
Hey, I'm G-Rod. Make mine Silverline. You heard me.